we are consumers more than producers. When we begin to become producers, we are going to flourish in that employment area.
Globally, the low carbon economy is a $26 trillion growth opportunity.
But now,
that can create 65 million jobs by 2020.
When you hear these figures, sometimes you think that these figures are just for people outside. Out of those trillions, how many people in Nigeria are reaping from those trillions?
Let's say poverty sometimes can limit your mindset to think that the easy way is not the surest way.
Nobody wants to work for themselves in Nigeria again. And what they don't know they're doing is that they're not building the country, they're building other people outside.
Yeah.
Yes, you're doing it for money, but then if we don't actually wake up and see that we actually need to build something within ourselves, where we're working for ourselves and building something up, we're still going to get stuck in that unemployment loop.
Yeah. Hello guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Williams Evidence. I am the host of In Reality Podcast, but this is not In Reality Podcast. This is a fall aside. So basically on my YouTube channel there's been a restructuring where there's going to be a reality podcast, which is one of the series that is hosted there. Then outside that, I'm going to be having sessions where I share my mind and my opinions on certain topics. I talk about certain things as pertaining to me, the society, and some other things, right? And this is one of it. In fact, this is the first one. Unfortunately, I was meant to do this alone, but someone mounted pressure and and I'm here with Stephanie. This is not the first time on my YouTube channel, but it's the first time in this series. Before, you were here for a reality podcast. You're welcome, Stephanie. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I am excellent. I am very excited today. Thank you. I am very thrilled to be on in reality podcast.
Oh wow.
I am very excited to be here for what we're going to be conversing about today.
So, Stephanie, how is everything been going for you? How is life? How is business? How is social media? Is social media manager, experts, and all of
experts.
Okay, experts,
yes.
Not just manager, because
Exactly.
experts comprises of all of them together. But today we'll be talking about something very, very sensitive. It's something that's been on our minds. It's something that we actually spoke about last night, right? And I made some researches. I had to look at some things because let me start by saying this, that the fact that you're born in Nigeria has already placed you in a strata that is below the average youth in the Western country, right? So you be born in Nigeria, there is a disadvantage and there's also an advantage. We don't neglect the fact that there's an advantage, but we also see that there's a disadvantage. In fact, the disadvantage is even more. I don't know if that is true.
What's the hope for the common Nigerian man? It is more, but it also depends on perspective.
Okay.
Someone like me, recently I've started seeing disadvantages as hidden ways to sharpen you up, so those disadvantages become your advantages.
Okay.
Like, you can't compare how the tenacity of somebody who is going to be in a disadvantaged condition to the tenacity of someone who has everything on a platter. You understand?
Yeah.
So yes, I don't want to go in depth in that, but I still believe that these disadvantages can rewire us to be people who don't see those things as disadvantages anymore.
Yeah.
I hope that makes
sense.
Okay.
Okay, so when doing a research last night, basically this morning, not even last night, right, I stumbled upon something which I'm going to read. First of all, they say Nigeria has one of the youngest population on earth. Over 60% of Nigerians are under 25, and the median age is just 18.1 years. Every year, 3.5 million young Nigerians enter the labor market. Now, there was a comparison between this and the Western countries. They compared that to the Western countries. In Northern America, youth unemployment was 8.2% in 2023.
Okay.
In Europe, 13.9%. In Nigeria, youth unemployment is 6.5%. in the fourth quarter of 2025, but that is misleading.
So that's
that is a false statement, right?
That.
Yeah. So the real issue is underemployment and informal work. In 2023, 16.3 of Nigerian youths were underemployed, and 97% were informal employed. So informal employed is
97%.
97%.
Oh my,
We're
that's
informally
a lot.
employed. So informal employed is let me say, for example, you're working as a roadside a POS attendant and all of that.
That's
Majority of the people who are paid, they're paid below the minimum wage.
yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a standard that the government say, okay, it should be above from the minimum wage to 7,000, I think, right? But now we should live in a society whereby it's now below the minimum wage. Most persons are earning below the minimum wage, and because of this, geographical positioning also contributes to how people think and how people see success in a general view, right? You can compare how a young person who grew up in let me say in America, right, seeing some certain things. Okay, let me just use China for example, seeing 3D and some crazy animations, robotics and all of that, and compare it to someone who
It's just learning HTML.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts when it comes to unemployment in the country and how it affects people, and also the geographical positioning of young people in Nigeria and how this has placed them in a strata that cannot even be the margin between that of the Western countries and that of Nigeria is very, very big.
Okay, so on the matter of employment, there's so many things that are contributing to how much it isn't functioning well. And one of those things, which I am kind of very passionate about, is the fact that we are consumers more than producers. When we begin to become producers, we are going to flourish in that employment area. For an example, imagine if someone who wanted to start a bag business decides to source out all the materials and construct it in Nigeria, which means as a reason of that business initiative, you're going to be hiring maybe people to make the bag, people to market and all that. But because we aren't used to producing, I don't really know why, instead of doing that, we start importing and everything. We're so used to not relying on ourselves to build ourselves up. That is why we are just focusing on external. Even see people, I got a remote job online. Nobody wants to work for themselves in Nigeria again. And what they don't know they're doing is that they're not building the country, they're building other people outside. Yes, you're doing it for money, but then if we don't actually wake up and see that we actually need to build something within ourselves, where we're working for ourselves and building something up, we're still going to get stuck in that unemployment loop. Yeah, and employment is kind of objective. It depends on how you look at it. Because, okay, now you hear everybody saying, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm self-employed. They're using all those terms. In Nigeria, I wouldn't tell anybody to focus on those titles. I would tell people to focus on the fact that you are actually producing something, and most importantly, you're making money from it.
Enjoy.
And that is not what people are looking at. Not even making money, just getting profit from a venture. Right? Everyone is obsessed with this employment thing. Everyone is obsessed with, there are no jobs. You hear everybody saying there are no jobs.
Exactly.
So immediately, once people are done with university, they already have that mindset that there's no job.
So why are they going to the university in the first place? Because if you feel that there's no job in this country, in fact, let's start by this. I graduated last year, and I was telling one of my friends, and I told him, I said that if we want to do a percentage of the number of persons who graduated food science last year and want to check out their intelligence ratio after graduation based on the course they studied, you will see that most of the persons are below the margin. We have much persons who just go through school, but they are not actually learning.
It's an infrastructure problem, and it's an infrastructure and societal issue, because going to university in Nigeria is something that's seen as a necessity, like you must have a degree, and the focus is more on the degree than the course. Nobody cares about their course nobody cares about their course, because at the end of the day, you're already hearing people saying, I just want to get the degree, my parents told me to get the degree, and people are not interested in genuine education. Even on the matter of genuine education, I'm seeing people, at the initial phase of starting a business or something, I would advise people just start. But you see people who are just in that just start phase for 5 years, meaning that all there is to their business is posting on their status. They haven't actually educated their minds on it. If you know you want to sell shoes for 5 years, yes, because that's what you want to do, at least go to a business school. Pick up a course online. Nobody is interested in education. They're just interested in the degree. And that is also one of the, what do you call this? That is one of the mindsets that is still fueling this loop. One of the things that would actually fix this issue in Nigeria, which I strongly believe in, is a reorientation of the mind.
Yeah.
Some people are going into university thinking that, I don't even need to study because they're still going to fail me. Why? Because you're hearing people talking about how you have to do this with a lecture before you get this, how even though you read, they're still going to find a way to mess up your scores. I've literally heard this from people. People firsthand were saying, imagine if I actually genuinely started reading, this exam would have been easy. But because everybody was saying that you're going to settle what you didn't study for, so everybody is now, it's like there's a template that has been prepared. And then people are now passing that template to the people who are coming after them. Imagine a scenario where somebody who has graduated from a department comes back to that department to tell the year one students that, look at this thing, you can't pass.
Yeah.
You need to sort.
Yeah. And they start citing some lecturers,
They literally
citing
say,
some courses.
all you need in this school is to have money, number one. Number two, have more money. Number three, like, what mindset are you trying to pass on? And the fact that the education system is flushing and reflushing these things, and they're not actually doing anything about it. That is why, even though somebody who genuinely had a passion to study something in, let's say, secondary school, once they come to university, they're going to be overwhelmed by that nonsense. Then they're graduating university with that mindset of, at least I have the degree. Maybe they even had a dream of being first class. At least I have this and that. And then they're going into the job market with that mentality of, first of all, they're thinking there's no job. Do you understand? They're not ready. I wish there was a way to just, should I use the word brainwash the system?
Okay, but if you want to look at it now, looking at the fact that after school there are no jobs, and the fact that the educational system is really messed up, whereby everything revolves around money. Every lecturer is looking at how they can fill their pockets faster than the other lecturers. They are trying to write books in order to loot from students that try to, in fact, one of the lecturers, when I was in school, my first year, he said something, if you get my textbook, you're automatically not going to fail my course. You're going to have an E.
That's terrible.
Right? You're going to have an E for getting my textbook. Then whatever you write in your exam, you graduate it from either E to any other thing. So people are compelled to get these stuffs, because they know that the lecturer is going to hold them accountable in their result at the end of the day. And because of all these loopholes that is found in our educational system, coupled with the fact that the economic structure or the economy is not favorable to its citizens, can you actually say school is a scam, or there's a way that people can go about this?
I actually had this conversation with somebody. Now, if you have heard me speak about this matter, you probably think I don't believe in school. But the truth is, I believe in education more than school.
Wow.
I believe in education more than school, because school is a building, and that is what lecturers are now turning into businesses. School is a building. What you're going to school to do is to get educated. And when I tell people this example, they'll say, don't worry, maybe he had, and I don't care. Elon Musk, for an example, I think when he was, I don't know if it was his first or second degree. I think it should be second degree. When he went there, from what I saw online, I don't know how true it is. When he went there the first day, he saw how they were doing, and he dropped out like the second day or something. I would have to fact check that, but it was something like that. And this just stood out to me so much, because he gave me this picture of somebody who was more interested in actually learning something. And why people don't actually care about whether they're learning things or not is because they might not have visions that they're pursuing. But let's say somebody's vision is to be a media producer. Instantly, they know that you're not meant to be doing medicine and surgery.
No.
Instantly, they know the courses they are meant to focus on. They know what you're meant to be educating their minds on. And in that situation, now school becomes more important for what you're chasing. But we have people that are just going there blindly. People who are going there because society mandates that if you don't have a degree, you're not learned.
Yeah.
Society mandates that everybody must work a job, but they're the same people complaining that there's no job. It's like they are literally attacking their success.
I saw this. Opportunity in Nigeria is concentrated in a few urban hubs. If you're born in the rural area with poor roads, no electricity and limited schools, your starting point is miles behind someone born in Lagos or Abuja.
Sure.
Compared to the Western youth, in Germany, the US or Canada, even rural areas have relatively reliable electricity, internet, transport and schools. That is infrastructure geography. It reduces friction for education, internship and job application. Now, we try to compare the rural areas of Nigeria to the rural areas of these Western countries. And you can see that the gap is even more. In fact, most persons in Nigeria, they are even leaving the urban areas of Nigeria to the rural areas of those countries. Because they feel that that place is even better than our urban areas.
That's why you see somebody, you're so excited about traveling out because maybe they can clean the toilet or something. It's tragic, but
now,
that's what's going on.
But now, there's something that I found among the young people, which is actually a cancer. And that's the fact that there is a level of comparison amongst young people. There's a level of, should I say, raising of ranks among young people.
God.
Where we think, I mean, let me just be honest. If you are friends with someone whose father is wealthy, you guys are not on the same level by any means. You'll be foolish to be comparing yourself with your friend whose father is wealthy. The father has already set the foundation for his child.
Yes.
No matter how close you are to that person, the father has no will for you. For being friends with his child, or being friends with his daughter, or being friends with his son. Your father is to take responsibility of you.
Yes.
So this person already, the father has already set the foundation for the person, for him or for her. It will be foolish of you to want to make competition with everyone. Everyone's destiny is per head. You are your own Moses. I mean, you are in Egypt yourself. But you're meant to take responsibility of yourself to rescue yourself, right? But now let's talk about how we can make this work, because citing a problem is not all there is.
That's true.
How can we make this work? How can a normal Nigerian grow up in Nigeria with a sense of hope and purpose that a future is secured? Yeah, so can you say anything about that?
I want Nigerians to be more positive. We are negative too much. And what I mean by this is that we already think that there's no hope.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if their eyes could be open to see the hope, then they will find it. Right? And another way that we could make things work is by maximizing what we already have. Some people are complaining for urgent 2K.
Yeah.
But you see them on TikTok for 1 week consistently.
And they subscribe back to back.
So I don't understand that. Can you explain how you are complaining for urgent 2K or transport, but then the amount of money you spend in a week for data is like 5K or something, and what you're even doing with the data is not relevant? And then you see people who, let's say they manage to get some amount of money, who believe that they need to show the world that they have gotten some amount of money.
Yeah.
So somebody who has, let's say, 3 million in their account, because they want to maybe get a better place, they don't know that that 3 million naira doesn't mean they're rich. That just means that they have some money, right? They end up getting an apartment for 1.2 million naira.
Yeah.
They end up upgrading their iPhone.
Yeah.
1 million naira extra.
Has already gone.
And it's like, how much is that? And let's say 800,000 naira is left. And they're still comfortable with that. Why? Because that sets them apart from the average people who can't afford that.
Exactly.
And
So
that shouldn't be their focus.
Your competition is even with the minority and not even the majority.
That is one of the things that has just been on my heart recently. You know, you can be in a place and you believe that maybe, let me use you. Oh, I have a podcast. I'm doing something useful. I have these equipments. The average person doesn't have that. And you just get comfortable in that position that you just have a little bit more than the average person. But you don't know that what you are here to do is greater than that. And in the grand scheme of things, let's say it was 100% now. You haven't even gotten up to 0.5% in what you actually have in you and in what you could actually possess. Our competition is too low for where we're going.
Yeah.
And that is why we aren't even pushing for more. Look, there are people who have already risen above what society has tried to compress them on. So why don't we try to learn from those people?
Come on.
I always believe there's a way to these things. Look, I am literally stubborn. I refuse it. And that is one of the reasons I don't get well with some people who think against the fact that you can't complain that the reason you're not doing well is because of the country. Are you telling me you don't have a brain? Are you telling me that the people who are doing well, maybe they have two heads or something?
No, one of the problem is that they keep going to church, and I'm a Christian, right? But let's not leave to God what we can handle ourselves.
That is true.
I was telling you yesterday, I said God gave us a mind for a reason.
God did. And I wish more Christians could actually wake up to the fact that God is our Father, and our Father wants to see doings.
Yeah.
Greater works than these shall you do. He wants to see doings. I want us to get to the point that before we even make a prayer on some things, now this doesn't apply to all, we actually start doing something. I see people, I don't want to say that there's nothing like favor the miraculous, but imagine out of the 100 prayers you pray on maybe an issue, if before you pray those 100 prayers, you could actually start doing something. When I see some people, even they have not even gone into real estate or anything, but they're praying, I will sell a land of 1 billion naira today. I'm like, you don't have a company, you don't even post on land.
You have the competence to sell that land.
Your account, the limit to your account is still on 100,000 naira.
Yeah.
What are you expecting God to do?
Most persons, they are praying for an opportunity that they don't have capacity to handle.
Yes, they're not even prepared for. They're not even positioned well for. So how is it meant to happen? And these are the blind spots that we might not take into cognizance because, of course, like I mentioned, I do believe in miracles. I do believe in favor. But I believe that faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
I believe that if you don't do some certain things, you will never get those results. And nobody wants to accept that. But people can accept that they can wake up one day and a land that they never even told anybody about instantly gets sold. Maybe that's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. But how many persons have such results like that?
Exactly. So why don't you actually start doing something that you're sure that if I consistently do this for at least 30 days, it will yield something, than praying that prayer for 30 days that you don't have any sure guarantee because you don't even have the systems to sustain that.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to the link you sent to me the other day about Adesina. I was listening to him, and there was something that he said that really struck me. And most of the persons in this generation, they're only looking at how they can get things done so fast, right? How they feel that struggling to succeed is the only way. In fact, that is the only way.
They think it's designed.
Just the same way people think that if a woman doesn't give birth by pushing, then she didn't give birth, right? It's now like, I don't know, should I say poverty sometimes can limit your mindset to think that the easy way is not the surest way.
Yeah.
So you can see people wanting to go through difficulty and toiling because they feel, oh, because of my sweat, this is more profitable.
I really don't like that. And okay, let me even bring this issue up now. There's some things that I believe with tech and innovations that it shouldn't take an amount of your brain power. you should choose to use your brain in at least 95% of situations. So you don't lose that ability to be creative, right? But there are also some things that I generally don't understand why some group of people think that, okay, you're going to be lazy if you don't go through this way. An example is washing clothes. If you have a washing machine, why is it that in still some homes the mothers make their children wash with their hand because you're going to your husband's house?
The washing machine is business.
No, but okay, but look at, well, it's also another thing. Sometimes it might be because they don't actually have a vision, so they don't know that they're actually meant to be managing your time adequately. And that washing that you're going to be doing for 5 hours, if you put that 5 hours in doing something else, it could yield more in your future than you washing clothes for 5 hours. The next 3 days is going to get dirty. You now use 5 hours again. If we know the amount of time we are wasting, you sleep for 8 hours, you eat for 1 hour because you're eating and watching a movie.
Doom scroll.
You doom scroll for another 2 hours. You watch these are the things that are actually eating into the lives of Nigerians, and it's actually taking their money from them.
So please, we'll round up with a few. There are a few things that it may seem as though they are rising up currently in Nigeria, but it's an opportunity of entry. When we talk about the green economy and we talk about sustainability, climate change, talk about there's something that is going on in Nigeria where most houses, most industries, they're moving from carbon free to solar.
Do you know that
that's an entry point?
Information you just shared right now, I guarantee you that at least 60% of Nigerians either don't know about it, don't care about it. They don't care. Everybody believes that if you're making money, if you're doing business, it has to be maybe food, maybe clothes.
Buy and sell.
They are not interested in what the future looks like. I mean, if people could actually harness this and develop something and even go into that business, they wouldn't only be doing business with fellow Nigerians, but now people outside can now be referring to them as people they import from.
Globally, the low carbon economy is a $26 trillion growth opportunity.
But now
that can create 65 million jobs by 2020.
But how many of that money? It's when you hear these figures, sometimes you think that these figures are just for people outside. Like, okay, out of those trillions, how many people in Nigeria are reaping from those trillions?
Exactly, 26
Why do you
trillion.
think you have to sell tomato in the market to make money? Why do you think you have to start selling mama clothes before you make money?
How many tomatoes will you sell before you get your first?
How much food will you cook? Not only is that, should I say, well, it depends on how you're able to expand it.
See, I know where you're heading to. The truth of the matter is that there's one business that won't give you certain results at certain stages.
True.
You can't be selling tomato and build a house. Except you're
those
doing
people
it
that are
in a
selling
very
tomato
large
now,
scale.
the people that will be the loudest in church, shouting.
They're the ones shouting for favor. Meanwhile, you have an opportunity to leverage on not just the trend but the future, because this is not trend. This is the future we're talking about.
And when there's some people that think that when there are these trainings, let's say there's a tech training, there's a training on maybe this, for an example, they think it's not for them. They think it's not for them because you're selling tomatoes, not knowing that you cannot just have that one thing and hope to get much from it. Like I said, except you find a way to expand. But expanding will be very difficult if you don't have maybe a loan, if you don't have something to start up with, or if you haven't generated enough revenue to distribute across expanding. We have to understand that what you're doing isn't all there is. There could literally be more, but are you willing to do something that you haven't done before? Now, in the good aspect, please, I'm not telling you to go rob a bank. Are you willing to try something that statistics have shown that you could actually go in? I'm not telling you to forfeit whatever you're doing. I'm not telling you to forfeit your calling, your passion. But I'm telling you to hop on the fact that you can't just rely on only one single stream just because you're so used to it.
And if you think that that particular field is too should I say financial demanding, is finance demanding,
Time demanding.
or time demanding.
Yes.
Let me use finance demanding,
Okay.
because there are some opportunities that it would require a huge amount of deposits,
To
right, for you
begin.
to begin. Like,
Yes.
but at that point, there are different entry points. That's why you shouldn't first of all start by being a master. Start by being an apprentice.
Nobody wants to be an
Go
apprentice.
submit under someone,
Nobody wants to do that.
but everyone wants to be masters.
Nobody wants to do that.
So please,
Nobody wants
there are opportunities in Nigeria. The fact that we have problems is signal
That
that
there's
those problems, if a solution is provided, the cash will come. Cash only flows to the point of solution. Cash only flows to the point of
Yeah.
value. If I see a problem and I solve that problem, people will be able to pay me for the solution that I've offered for that problem. So look at the problems around you and offer solutions. That's just basically how it is. That's basically how it is. Leverage on the future. I don't use the word trends, because
Yes.
trends comes and goes.
it's
But leverage on the future. AI has come to stay. Learn about AI automation. Learn about, some of us, the only thing that they know about is ChatGPT.
No cap.
There's more to AI than ChatGPT. Learn more. Leverage on this thing. So when you go out, you're competing in a global scale and not just your community scale. Any last words for the people?
Okay, I want to specifically tell Nigerian youths, especially because one, focusing on the youths, is that it's very difficult to reteach or convince somebody who has already grown up with the mindset to be youth. Right now is my focus, and I'm telling you right now that there is hope. You are young, and that youth should not be spent doing things that, if you look at the future, would keep you in the position that you so despise that your parents were left in. Don't you mention bunch of things like, oh, if my mother was this, if my father was this. Right now you're in the position to do something about that, so your children would not say that same thing about you. Please don't waste it on quick pleasures. Please don't waste it competing with your friend who just got the latest upgrade or something. There is so much more you can be doing, and don't complain that Nigeria is not helping you. You have a phone, you have YouTube, you have ways to learn something new. So I would love you to harness that.
Thank you very much for joining this, I wouldn't say episode, but it's not In Reality podcast. Thank you for joining this session, and we're going to see you some other time. Have a nice day.